Okay, welcome to 4.2. Determine whether the coordinate plane shows a reflection in the x-axis, y-axis, or neither. So A to B. Okay, so we're going from A to B. So we count 1, 2 to the x-axis and 1, 2 to the other side. So this is a reflection over the x-axis. The same amount of distance from one side to the other. All right. Number 3, if we look at BC and EF, that's not a reflection in either. Okay, so B would have to go to this position, and C would have to go to that position. And the same thing for E, have to go up, and F to the other side. Or if you're going around the y-axis, it would have to go that direction. So those are the things you got to look for. Okay, number 5, graph the polygon. So again, let's go ahead and start with a graph. 2, -4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's J. And 3, 7, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6, -1, 3, 4, 5, 6, -1. All right, so now that's our picture. And draw it a little bit better there. Now we're reflecting it over the x-axis. All right, so this is my x-axis, so we count up to the x-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4, and count past it, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be J prime. K is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So K prime would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. K prime is down there. I should have moved this up a little bit. See if I can do that real quickly. So let's count that again. Move it over just a little. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's K prime. And L is 1 unit away, so it's 1 unit on the other side. That's over the x-axis. So what does that look like? Flipping it over the x-axis. Pretty crazy looking. All right, next problem. All right, so let's graph this, and let's see what are our numbers here. Looks like we have some decent numbers, so nothing too big, too small. So J's at 2, -1. Okay, so there's J. 4, -5 is K. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And L is at 3, 1. Okay, now we're going to be reflecting this over x equals -1. So x equals -1 is a straight line. It's not a point. It's infinitely many points where x is -1. X is -1 right here, and there, and there, and there, and there. Those are all everything and everything in between. All these points and everything in between is x equals -1. So what that is a vertical line going through the x-axis at -1. So whatever variable is shown when it's one variable, that's the axis that it goes through. So to go through the x-axis at that point has to be vertical. So what we're going to do now is we're going to count to that yellow line and then to the other side. So L is 1, 2, 3, 4 units from the yellow line. So 1, 2, 3, 4 units to the other side of the yellow line. And that is L prime. J is 1, 2, 3 units away. Oops. So go 3 more. 1, 2, 3. That's J prime. And K is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units away is K prime. So there you can see that it was reflected over the yellow line. Now we're going to graph this one. Look at my numbers here. Third quadrant, first quadrant. Okay. So we're going to graph vertically here. I'll show you. Make it a little low here. 2, 4. Okay, there's 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's J. K is at -4, -2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That's K. And while L is at -1, 0. L is right there. Okay, so this is kind of hard to draw because it's a very flat triangle. All right, now there's one variable, so that means it's going through the y-axis at 1. So there's 1 on the y-axis, so it's going to be a horizontal line. Okay, so we got to reflect over that. So let's start with J. J is 1, 2, 3 units away, so J prime is 3 units on the other side. 1, 2, 3. And L is 1 unit away, so L prime is going to be 1 unit on the other side. And K is 1, 2, 3, so K prime is 1, 2, 3 units on the other side. So again, it's kind of hard to draw because it's so flat. It's best to use a straight edge. But there you go. It's reflected over y equals 1. Okay, at this point you should be fairly good at this. You're going to reflect it over x equals 1. So first graph, and then graph over that line. So these are all positive. These are all in the first quadrant. So I'm going to draw this about like this because I know I'm going to graph over x equals 1. X equals 1 is right here. So wherever these points are, I'm going to graph around that line to the left. So J is at 2, 1. And K is at 3, 5. Now remember the yellow line is at 1. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's K. L is at 6, 5. 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And M is at 5, 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 1. So it's a little parallelogram. Okay, so we're going to count to the yellow line and go past. So 1, 2. 1, 2. There's K prime. And L is 3 more units. If you want to count, you can count. J is 1 unit away, so J prime is right here. And M is 3 more units away. 1, 2, 3. So there is our reflected picture. Notice that L prime, K prime, they're flip-flopped, and so is J prime and M prime. Okay, that's that question. Number 13. Okay, let's graph this one. We're in the second and the first quadrant. So 6, -3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Fourth quadrant. That's A. 1, -2 in the fourth quadrant. And 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's in the first quadrant. Okay, so now the question is, where is y equals x? Of course, that's on the line. Y equals x is y equals mx plus b. So your slope is 1 and your y-intercept is 0. So that's the same thing as that right there. So we go through at 0. So let's do this in yellow. And we go up 1 and over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, or down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1. So there's this invisible line that we are going to reflect across. Okay. So how do you reflect across the line? You can memorize the formula, or you can count the slope to it. So you have to go perpendicular to it. So the slope of this line is 1. So we got to go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, just like that. So there's a perpendicular line you go to. So this went up 1 over 1, up 1. Okay, so do the same amount, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. That's where that would be. Or you could look at it like this. This is 1.5, 1.5 diagonals. Not the same thing as a full unit or a full side. So you can just count diagonally like that. So A is 1, 2, 3, 4.5. So there's your half. And 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's A prime. and B is 1.5, and 1/2, and 1. There's B prime. So that is what our picture would look like if we reflected over it. And then you can get rid of some of this other stuff. Okay, so magically it all disappears. That's what it looks like after you flip it over y equals x. All right, now again, we're going to flip it over y equals x again. Let's plot this quadrilateral. Okay. I'm just looking at the numbers to see where this is going to be. So -2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 is A. 1, 4 is B. C is at 1, 2. And D is at -2, 2. All right, so here is the figure. It's a rectangle. And we're going to reflect it over the line y equals x. So again, it's a +1. So this is what the invisible line looks like. And we just count to it and go over. So A, if we go this direction, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, just count diagonally across. We'll try to do it without drawing anything this time. D is 1, 2, so D prime is at 1, 2 on the other side. And C is 1/2, so C prime is right here. And B is 1.5, so 1.5. And notice that everything has been flipped around. Okay. So pretty crazy looking. Notice that this is flat this direction, and this is vertical. That's what happens when you reflect it correctly. It tends to look differently. So if we translate it, it'd still be flat somewhere if you went over and down. That would be a translation. So the reflection is correct. 17. All right, now we have a different reflection. We're going to take this triangle at 1, 2, 4, 2, and 3, -2. So here's our triangle. And now let's reflect it across y equals -x. Again, that's the same thing as mx plus b, except your slope m is -1, and you're still going through the y-axis at 0. So we go down 1 and right 1. So this one is a diagonal line going down to the right by 1s. So there is our invisible line. And again, count to the line and over. So C is a halfway, so C prime is a half on the other side. B is 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. That's B prime. And A prime is 1.5. So A prime should be 1.5 on the other side. And again, I'm going to point out, notice your horizontal line AB is here. The horizontal line A prime B prime is there. So there's your reflection. 19. We're going to graph it again around y equals -x. So let's go just a little bit faster. -3, 2 is A. 1, -1 is B. C is at -2, -2. And D is at -4, -1. Okay. Okay, make sure everything's in the right spots. All right, now we're reflecting across y equals -x again. So again, this is your diagonal by 1s, down 1 over 1. So B is actually on the line. So it stays right there as B prime. C prime is 2, so that's going to be here. A prime is going to be there, and D prime, C 1, 2.5, so 1, 2.5. So if we connect those, and there you can see that it is a good reflection. 21. Now we're going to do composite. Composite means you do two things, more than two or more things. All right, so let's graph it and see where we end up. Let's go ahead and draw our graph. All right, so R is at 4, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. S is at 7, 3, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. And T is at 6, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's our triangle. First thing we're going to do is move to the left or right 0, because it's x minus 0 and y minus 1. X minus 0 is just x. So we're not moving left or right, but we are going to move down 1. So let's do blue. Move everything down to 1. There's T prime, S prime, and R prime. So there's our translation down 1 unit. And now we're going to reflect in the y-axis. Here's the y-axis again. So count to the y-axis and count to the other side. With your primes. Don't do the original picture here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So R double prime. So we went from R prime to R double prime. And then S prime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. S double prime and T double prime. 1, 2, 3, 4. T prime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. T double prime. So make sure you're using the right coordinates. So it went down 1 and then it reflected over the y-axis. All right. Same thing. We're going to draw this one. Just taking a look at all my numbers here to see where they're at. If I need to draw a weird graph. So Q is at 1, negative 1. Q. R is at 1, 2. S is at 4, negative 1. And T is at 4, negative 4. So here is our original picture. And now we're going to move to the right 2, and we're not going to go up and down at all. So let's go to the right 2. That's S prime, T prime, that's Q prime, and R prime. We draw it. And now we're going to reflect it in the x-axis. So this is my x-axis. So count to the yellow line and go across. So Q prime goes up 1. So Q prime is going to go here. R prime is 2 units away. So R double prime will be 2 units away on that side. All right, so that's going to be your left side. S double prime will be on the other side. T double prime is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we connect those, I think it's easier to see that the blue figure has reflected over the x-axis. Awesome. All right. Just drawing the lines of symmetry. Let's just use yellow here. So a square, there's one line of symmetry where it folds over on each other. Folds over on each other that way, and also diagonally. So there's 4 lines of symmetry. Okay. Now, I put the evens on here because I think it's good to show a whole bunch of these. I'll do those in a minute. 27, an equilateral triangle. So here's one line, there's one line, and there's another line. Okay, so there's 3. So there's 4 in 25, there's 3 in 27. Okay, let's start with the plus here, the blood donation sign or whatever it is. So we could fold it in half that way. Could fold it in half that way. If you did the inside corners, you could flip it over on each other that way. Okay, so there's 4. I'm just going to show you. You couldn't do this line because this this point right here would fold over to there, and there's nothing there. Folding over means you get the exact same shape. There's nothing there. So 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 lines of symmetry there. 26, if you look at 26, I can go down the center, but there isn't any other way to do it. So that only has one. 28 is a scalene triangle. None of the angles are the same. None of the sides are the same. So it doesn't look like you could split this at all. So that would be 0 and 30. You split the star in half that way. At every corner you could split it in half. So that means you have those 5. Is there, oops, where's your 5th one there? And there's no other, so there's 5 on that one. Now do it to the letters. So if you think you could do it there, that's wrong because the L has to match on that side. Those things have to match. So those don't work. And you can say, oh, let's do it in half like this. The K would work and the 2 O's would work, but the L, the flat part, would be up there, and there's nothing there. So that doesn't work. So that one doesn't have one. So that's 0 lines of symmetry. Now, ox, on the other hand, if you split it in half that way, it does fold over on each other, but you can't split it any other way. So that only has the 1. Okay, now this problem is going to seem kind of impossible, but let me show you how easy it really is. You're supposed to plug any of these values in here into those values that are missing. So you look at like B, how did they get to be double prime? There was a composition. So they translated, meaning they shifted left and right and up and down, and then they reflected over y equals x. Okay, so the way to do this is go backwards. Take your B double prime and look at your y equals x. Okay, that's the same thing as y equals 1 over 1 x plus 0. So let's draw that line. And if you remember, it starts at 0 and it goes, it goes up 1 over 1. So this is the invisible line, okay, that B double prime reflected over. So that means, I'm talking about B double prime here. So remember, you're going straight into it diagonally across your boxes. So that's one whole box diagonal. So B prime must have been right there. Okay, so now that we know B prime, how did we get from B to B prime? Okay, well, it's a translation. I'll do this in yellow. We went to the right 1, 2, 3, and up 1, 2, 3. So x, better do it in black, x plus 3 and y plus 3. That's what goes there. The x is used, the y is used, the plus is used, and 3 is used. The 1s and 2s are not used, and the minus sign. Okay, so right 3, up 3. Those are both positive. So I worked it backwards based on what they gave us here, and we had our double primes. So hopefully that helps. Sometimes you got to work them backwards. But I've seen those are on the test, so that's your last problem. Good job.